Welcome to Mind, Mood and Food podcast. I'm Margaret Bell, founder of Naturally Empowered Health, gut health expert, anti-diet coach and author of True Taste. And I'm here with my partner in crime, Adele Derbyshire.
Hello, I am the founder of Find Your Inner Sparkle. I am a yoga teacher and a spiritual teacher, and I help people to reduce anxiety, stress and overwhelm, and to fall back in love with themselves and gain confidence.
Hello, and today our subject is journaling. Could it actually help with chronic pain? Now, me and Adele have just had a little conversation about this. I'll be blatantly honest. I've journaled, I've stopped, I've journaled, I've stopped, and I've stopped at the moment because it's, you know what, it's one of those things that people recommend that you do. And I'm very aware that can just take 5 minutes time of your day. But it's finding those extra 5 minutes time on top of everything else as well. So I guess it gets pushed to the side for me, but I notice after a while when I haven't done it. So Adele, we've just been speaking specifically about a certain lady that found journaling, but why don't we start with, why can it be beneficial for people? Because a lot of people might think that it is just, 5 minutes of writing down about your day, or is that the situation, or is there a deeper level to it?
Yeah, there's a much deeper level, and I heard about it. I mean, I've always kept a diary, to be honest, on and off. I love looking back and going, what was I doing 3 years ago today or 10 years ago? And my mum always kept one, so it's kind of just followed in, family footsteps. And then when life gets busy, you've got a month missing or something, and there's all these gaps. And it can just be a little bit tedious, can't it? Like, oh, I've got enough to do, never mind writing what I've done today, and a bit boring, let's be honest. Life is sometimes slightly mundane. I've done the same thing again today. Who wants to read that? So it's more a tool for getting stuff out if we're going to use it as a tool for our mental and physical health and well-being. And so I heard about it by a few coaches, like business coaches, highly recommend it. And they would describe it as, a lot, you'll hear them say like journal on it, journal about it. So if you've got something that is kind of like niggling away, or you can't kind of fix a problem, or, you're wanting to be creative, come up with some new ideas or something like that, especially as entrepreneurs, journaling on things, it's that whole thing about our subconscious, which is the bulk of how we live and make decisions and everything else, but we can't always touch it and feel it because it's just kind of like below the surface. It gets that out. So if you just start writing, you see journal prompts. So you'll have like a journal prompt which you can easily find out there online or in books or whatever, and you can have so many journal prompts, whatever you want the answer to. And I've heard it described as like having a coach in your back pocket, because what comes out on the paper, you might be like, whoa, didn't know that was in there. Bloody hell. So you might be asking a question like, why am I not being as successful as I want to be in my business? Or why have I got a block? Why am I not making the money? Or why do I feel this way today? Whatever it is, you can ask a question, and then without overthinking it, because we don't want kind of conscious mind to take over, and that'll try and write what it thinks the right answer should be, So you want to just write it all down, almost like without thinking too hard about it. It's just free writing. So you can do like journaling where you just free write anyway without a journal prompt. You could just get up in the morning and think, I'm going to do my 5-10 minutes journaling and just write. Or you can have prompts, and then you can see what's kind of in there, that might surprise you. So that's why sometimes people will say they've made great strides in their business, they've like fixed problems, they, instead of speaking to a coach or a therapist, where this stuff will come out just because you're talking, you start talking, you open up, it's like bouncing ideas. Have you ever had that thing, like I used to have it at work, where I just couldn't solve the problem. I'd be staring at my screen. I'd just be like, oh God, it's the graveyard shift, 2 o'clock in the afternoon after my dinner, and I just can't see it. Then you whiz your chair around, you go to a colleague, oh my God, do you know what? Blah, 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 blah. And then
And bang.
you
Yeah.
answer it yourself, and then you go,
Mhm.
never mind, they've not even spoke, turn back round, and they're like looking at you like you've puddled. And then you just do the thing. So like I used to do that all the time. So speaking it out loud,
Yeah.
it's you relax a bit, you just get to the answer. So that's kind of the thing with journaling. But this new level that I discovered, I think it was a year ago now, might have been longer, was I don't even know how I came across it. I listen to that many podcasts and
Yeah.
YouTube things. I'm just absolutely obsessed with personal growth, self-development. And I stumbled on this lady and I was like, oh my God, this is fascinating because she was talking about her story. If this piques your interest, just go and find a story and a podcast, and she'll tell you the story herself. But so she's called Nicole Sachs, um, Sachs, and she'd had all of these chronic pain conditions and um, problems with, I think, with her spine, with her back. Anyway, she'd been to all these manner of different doctors and physicians and consultants, and they basically said, "This is you. This is kind of your lot." They told her,
Mm.
it's a while since I listened to her story, but I think they told her like she couldn't have children because she wouldn't be able to
Wow.
carry them. She was in that much pain and stuff like that. So this was just, if they can't fix it because it's not a slip disc that they can just
Yeah.
sort out or something. A lot of the time with a lot of the chronic conditions,
You're
what
just
we're
told,
told to
aren't you?
do is manage the pain.
Mm.
So, they'll sort you out with some pain relief and some like medication, and
Yeah.
you're left just trying to pick up the pieces really and say, well, this is me now, and I have to kind of manage with this pain. Anyway, she stumbled across the work of, I think he's called Dr. Sarno, Sarno. Whether that was a book, I think she might have read a book. So this was years ago that he'd done this work. Now he'd done loads of actual scientific studies. So he's a doctor, actual
Mm.
doctor, which gives it more credibility as
Yeah.
well. Um, and he started realizing, wait a minute, people are coming to him with all kinds of, that if you just look up like chronic pain conditions or chronic conditions, the number of conditions that this can actually
Yeah.
help is incredible. And he radically believes and has proven in his own case studies that people with these kind of chronic pain conditions and even arthritis and even conditions where people might have had a stroke or anything that has been caused by a build-up of mental pain, if you
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
manifesting itself in the body.
Mm. That's, I see where you're coming from there because this is going a little bit off point, but there's a lot of cancer sufferers that are told you've got this much to this amount of time to live, and bang, that's how much time, they do live. There's very few that I've heard of. And yes, there are people that go beyond that, but it seems to be if you're told that,
Mm,
then it's there. You believe that, and that is then fixed with you mentally, but it's
yeah.
a way of shifting that and saying, well, no.
Well, there's a placebo effect, which
Mhm.
is where we can fix ourselves because we're
Yeah,
told we're given this pill, and then the scientists have to add that into their studies because they go,
yeah.
right, well, and it's big, it's like 50% of people
Mhm.
will have the placebo effect.
Yeah.
And we just go, all right, well, there's this thing called the placebo effect, but nobody really stops to think
Looks
about,
into it,
wait a
yeah.
minute, if that is the
If that's the
case,
case, should we not
why
be
can't
looking at
we
this a bit
work
more?
more on that? Because then we don't
Yeah,
have to keep giving people the drugs. But then there's the opposite of that, which is the nocebo effect, which is what you're
mhm,
talking about.
yeah.
So there's again, if it works one way, it's got to work the other
Look
way,
at
hasn't
it.
it? So
Yeah,
if you're
exactly.
told, if you was to tell 10 people that
You're gonna
same
live this long.
news,
Yeah,
there'd be people that did,
it wouldn't affect. Yeah, mhm.
but there'd be people that,
Did.
hadn't got the disease and the condition, but I can believe that they would deteriorate and be poorly because they've told themselves, because they're convinced that the medical profession told them. So so and we don't find it too much of a leap to think to ourselves, oh, if I've got a really bad headache or a migraine, that can be brought on by stress, because it's our thinking, isn't it? We're over stimulated here in our minds. I know you can't see me because this is not a visual thing, but I'm rubbing
She's
my
rubbing
head.
her forehead.
I'm rubbing my forehead. But it's easier to say, I get that. Like, we can get pain in our head, physical pain caused by a mental problem because we're thinking too much, we're stressed, we've got all these thoughts, and we give ourselves headache, literally give ourselves a headache. And, you know, if we're feeling tense, like I get tension in my left shoulder, I can pinpoint the place. I have to physically relax it, because if I'm busy and I'm holding myself, I hold tension, I hold myself tense, like you do if you're cold. So we get physical pain through, you know, again, something that's going on mentally, really, because we've got a lot on our plate. And so if then we take that a bit further and we say, so if we've suffered at the hands of violent crime, or if we've had trauma, we've been abused, or, you know, even we've all suffered trauma of some degree, you know, even if we were just really treated badly by a teacher at school, and we were small and we were made to feel like, you know, rubbish because they criticized our work or whatever it might be. All of these things, because the likes of Eckhart Tolle in his book The Power of Now, he talks about the pain body, and it is the pain body because all this stuff manifests itself in your physical body. So it needs a release. So what happens is we don't release it because we think, you know, stiff upper lip. So especially men, it's rude to talk about things like our feelings. And if it's too painful, it's too embarrassing, you know, it's shameful, we've got guilt around it, all of those things, or it was, you know, too painful, as in grief and things like that. We push things down because we need to be able to get on with our life. So we think we'll squash them down. It's okay. It's not nice, but it happened, and la la la. We can't do anything about it now. Best foot forward. Off we go. And this is
But that
why,
stuff stays around, doesn't it?
this is why, you know, we need to people go to a trained therapist or a counselor to get it out. Think of it like, you know, a black mist coming out of your body. It's kind of like poison in your body otherwise. So journaling can be used as a tool that's very cathartic to actually get some of this stuff out. So when I work with people, I've been working with people lately with conditions like fibromyalgia and things like that. And when you dig a little bit deeper, there's a lot that's gone on in the past. Now, some of this, just being mindful of people maybe listening to this who've gone through all sorts of things, and maybe it's too painful to just open that Pandora's box. And I get that. If you're doing it on your own and you don't have that support, what I would advise is to start with easier stuff. So what Nicole recommends, and she's got a website and Instagram pages and all sorts, you can go ahead and get on there and follow for some tips and things. But she recommends like writing a few lists. So one might be anything that you think might have bothered you from like your childhood. So, you know, so you write the list first of all, and that's even helpful, just writing the list and acknowledging that. And then once you get going, you're like, oh, and this and this and this. So like my brother's on there. If he ever listens to this, I don't think he ever will. But anything that's made you unhappy. You know, I was
definitely. I can definitely think of a few things.
I was speaking to a lady at where I walk my dog at the field, and she had a really bad shoulder. She just couldn't fix this shoulder, and you know, she'd been for physio and she'd done all the things. So I was chatting to her a little bit more, and turns out she was caring for a husband who was really quite poorly. And you know, she was a prime candidate because she didn't want to like call him, because obviously that doesn't feel nice, does it? You know, be calling somebody that you love and it's not their fault that they're ill. So we have all this guilt. And I said to her, well, you've probably got like the weight of the world on your shoulders, quite literally. So
Yeah.
that's why if you look into the work of like Louise Hay, if you look at where the pain is, the shoulders, it tends to be that sort of stuff. Do you really feel like you're carrying the weight of the world? You're having to do all the things and you don't have enough help and support and stuff like that. And so she was like, oh my God, like, well, yeah, that makes sense. And I was like, look, get a journal. Because you feel like you can't say this to someone else because it's too embarrassing. It's like, I don't feel like I'm a good person if I'm calling him because he
Yeah.
is taking up all this time. You've not got time for yourself anymore. He's like ringing his little bell or whatever. And you're like, for F's sake,
Oh.
like, so it's like, but you can do that in a journal.
Oh, definitely.
And
Definitely.
every day, just like you said, even if it's just 5, 10 minutes, it doesn't have to be hours.
No.
But she recommends every day. And I did do it for a while and I've stopped for a bit, like you say. But I think if pain comes back, at least this can be your trigger
Yeah.
to remind you to do it. So you can write a list down of everything that ever bothered you, that made you sad, that felt like it was traumatic, or even, a little thing. And then you can write like current circumstances, which like for like this lady, things that you're doing now that cause you to feel frustrated or annoyed or upset. Um, think about different categories like family, you could have different headings, work, family, different things like that. And also things about yourself. So, like your personality and things
Yeah.
that you maybe don't like about yourself, or, things that bother you about yourself.
Mm.
And so you can just come up with this massive list, do a spreadsheet if you like spreadsheets. Then you can pick one thing every day. So if it's something that's buried way down there that you really don't want to open because you feel like you might need support, you don't have to go there. You can pick off
No.
something easier.
Mhm.
And then those things, if you feel like they're too painful, you then could go and work with a therapist
Yeah.
to work through those and have that support and that one-to-one. But at least then you've like worked on 50 of your other things and you're not going to be going there paying the money that you're going to be paying for a
Yeah.
work with a therapist to be there for like years. You just be like, I just need a bit of help working through these three things. I'm
Mm.
good with everything else, because you're getting it out of your body and onto paper. And what I
Yeah.
say is have it so it's kind of like somewhere that no one's going to find it, or you can like put a little lock in it, or just burn it or something, rip it up, shred it.
Yeah.
This is not the one, like I said earlier, that you're going to look back and go, oh, look, I had all these problems 5 years ago. Look at all this. You want to be able to write like with, she calls it journal speak. So it
Okay.
can't be censored. It can't be like I'm trying to be all polite about it. You
No.
want to write like the effing so and so is doing my head and he's done this today and I'm gonna kill him, and things that you would just it make your toes curl if somebody saw it because it's
Yeah.
like your deepest, darkest thoughts, but get them out.
Yeah. Wow. That's just brought to mind, and yeah, I'm going to bring this up. This is possibly why I journal and then stop. I can remember years ago as a teenager, my mum finding my diary.
You see? Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, so this is it. If you've got that in your mind that,
Yeah,
God, what if somebody sees this? It's kind of gonna stop you from,
yeah,
doing what you need to do. So a good way would be if I've got a little shredder down here. If you've got a shredder, if you want to just do it like on a blank piece of paper and then shred it literally straight afterwards, it's gone then, don't you? Or it
this
could
is
be
true.
a
Yeah.
cathartic exercise of setting fire to it over a little fire in the garden or something like
Mm,
that. And then it's even more powerful because you've got it out and then you're just burning it. So
letting
it's
it
like,
go.
yeah, burn,
I
baby,
like
burn.
it. I do
But
like it.
if you do go and look into it, there's so many case studies. I got the book on Audible, so they go into a lot of like, different case studies and things like that, where people have had, teeth problems, jaw problems, shoulder pain, illnesses, sicknesses, diseases. There's no end to things that he has proven that they've been through all
Mm,
of the kind of conventional medical route with the painkillers and with the scans and the x-rays and things. And oftentimes they can't even find anything. How many times are people told there's nothing wrong with you? I
wrong with
can't
you.
find anything. It looks normal.
Mm,
And you're just left thinking, oh, like, what do I do?
mhm,
So, like I said, I know it's time, it's a few minutes a day, but if that meant that it, got rid of your pain, and she says you don't even have to believe it, first of all. So I think it would be good if you believed in it, because it probably
mm,
makes the process quicker. If you're right in thinking this is not going to do anything, blah blah blah, it's probably going to be take a bit longer, I would say. But even if you don't believe in it, it's still worth doing
mm,
and making
definitely.
it a little practice that you do every day, and just
Oh,
get into the end of all those nitty-gritty things that have just been pushed down and buried for years, and then just see. I would love to know, if people do this, if it does shift some of
mm,
their pain. That would be brilliant.
definitely. Oh, crikey, I'm gonna have to start journaling again.
Burn it though, burn it.
Burn it. Thank you. That I felt that was really, really insightful. And definitely going to be checking out. What was that lady's name again? Just for
Nicole Sachs,
yeah.
Sachs, and she's got, I think, her website is called My TMS Journey. Can't remember what TMS stands for. It's to do with the pain, all the different
Mm,
brackets and categories. Got the website here. I can't find what that stands for though. So I think they're Americans. They call things different things, but um, yeah. So she's got a website. She's got Instagram and things. But the doctor's name is Dr. John Sarno, Sarno. So I think that's his book that
mm,
I got. Um, I tell you what, I just reminded me how I found out about his book. It was through an American lady that does a lot of fitness stuff online, and she literally has fibromyalgia, and
mm,
she's amazing. You should see the things she does. Like, she's a handstand trainer and everything, but she had a lot of chronic pain,
mm,
and she read his book.
yeah,
Now, people can be like poo-pooing it, or saying, it's because the problem with it is, it's a bit like saying that your problem is in your head. So sometimes people don't like to hear that.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes people want to be absolved of the responsibility and say, it's something that's just happened to me, and I just want to go and get it fixed medically and get the thing put back in the right place, or have the drugs that will fix the thing.
mm,
And what this does is says, no, it's not really about that. It's
no,
about what's gone on in your life and what your thoughts around it are. And if you do this process, which again is not, it's not a quick win, so
no,
people, don't want the slow process, unfortunately. But what I find so much better about this is, number one, it's free, because you can
yeah,
pretty much just do this. Like, you don't have to do a course about it, really. And number two, it's so empowering, because
mm,
if you aren't responsible, it's some external thing, but you can't find the answer, you're just at the mercy of the pain. Like, who wants
yeah,
to live like that? So if this
mm,
is something that you can physically do,
yeah,
it's empowering, isn't it?
definitely, definitely, and makes one hell of a lot of sense because
It does. I
from
can, yeah.
yeah, from the past episodes we've done, a lot of stuff that we talk about can be brought on by stress, can be brought on by trauma. A lot of gut health is definitely brought on by stress and trauma, so it all makes
Yeah, and it
absolutely
just another tool, in your toolbox. Like, I like to work with tools and holistic tools, instead of
yeah,
going down those conventional routes and having to resort to medication, which unfortunately all has side effects. So
mhm,
it's a bit of me, this. If you can have a tool that is accessible, free, and so beneficial, then
yeah, and powerful.
why
Yeah,
not?
yeah, definitely give it a go. Thank you so much. That
Thank
was
you very
excellent. Loved
much.
it.
Brilliant. Thank
If
you
you
all for listening.
definitely, if you want to let us know if you're going to start journaling, if you do journal, and heck, if this does actually resonate with you and you believe that it'll help, let us know, because we'd love to hear how you're getting on. And if it does actually work for you, that'd be absolutely brilliant. If you can, subscribe and we would love to hear from you about this specific episode and any other podcasts that you'd like us to do. So thank you so much, Adele, and see you next time.
See you on the next one. Bye, everyone.
Bye.